Sin Cara versus Sin Cara. Sin Cara Blue wins this match with a sunset bomb on his counterpart. What were your thoughts on the match? Silence. This kind of sounds like the crowd at Hell in a Cell.
Well, yeah, that's why this has gotten very mixed reviews. I thought the match was pretty decent, especially, you put two guys in there who are kind of comfortable working each other's style instead of putting, Sin Cara in there with Heath Slater, who's not going to be able to work that style. It came out okay. The crowd really killed it. It finished with a 2.5 for me. I thought it was okay for having no crowd reaction, and with these two guys with a bad storyline, I thought it came out all right.
As for me, I mean, here's the thing. Growing up, seeing two guys like this would have been absolutely fantastic. So for all the kids in the arena, they were probably, I'm surprised they weren't going nuts, seeing two guys looking like Power Rangers, flipping all over the place. But the crowd really hurt the match for me. I thought that the build-up wasn't long enough, but it could have been a possible WrestleMania feud, if they really took their time with it. Someone masquerading as an evil Sin Cara doing all these malicious deeds and having someone. It would have been great to have Sin Cara come back, maybe in his Mystico costume, to say, hey, I'm the real Sin Cara. You stole my spot. Have them feud at WrestleMania. That would have been really nice. But after I saw the match, it wasn't. I wouldn't say they didn't do a good job, because I sure as hell can't do flipping hurricanranas. But at the same time, the crowd, if you don't get the crowd into it, you're not doing a good job. And there wasn't as many as you would think there were, but it wasn't what I expected. You know what I mean?
I'll say also, you can't really blame it on them specifically, because they did have some nice moments in the match, but as much as people say wrestling matters, nudge, nudge, storylines do also, because the storylines accentuate. They're like the backbone. They make everything that you do in that ring, they make those movements matter. Even though this match had some nice moments, it was still an overall disappointment for me. Actually, this whole storyline has been a disappointment ever since it began with the second Sin Cara showing up. It caused a ton of confusion, most of which they're just making sense of now, and that happened how long ago? This whole stolen identity thing was a misstep from day one, because it's always been a disconnect. I don't think most fans cared enough about the original Sin Cara to care that his identity was being stolen. I think WWE mistook the reactions that he was getting from the crowd from meaning that the people were really invested in him, but they were really, like, in reality, just mystified with the moves and the mask, not the man itself. And we were in the process of getting to know him, and he wasn't established enough to carry something like this. And, that's what we get as a result. That match and that crowd reaction, the lack of a crowd reaction at Hell in a Cell.
Exactly.
I think this match put in Mexico or Japan would have been the most over thing you could have possibly done. But here in the WWE, people don't know about these guys from out of the country, so they're not going to be as into Mystico, who internationally is one of the most over guys in the world. So they just kind of put on a good match. They put on a decent match with some good spots, but it's not going to mean anything if the WWE can't get people interested in it.
Well, I guess we should do a little bit of the work that WWE hasn't done, or they've failed to do. They briefly mentioned the identity theft that happened down in Mexico in the last episode of SmackDown, but we're finally starting to get the real story now. Joey Styles posted an article on WWE.com, and it basically covered the situation surrounding the two guys where Sin Cara 2 was supposedly the original Mystico, and the promotion he had worked for basically pulled the rug from under him, copyrighted his name, gave it to someone else, and forced the original Mystico to change his name. Then the new Mystico went on to become the biggest star in Mexican wrestling, and later he comes to WWE as ... Sin Cara. And in retaliation, that's why we have two Sin Caras running around now. Why WWE chose to explain this story on their website after the pay-per-view, I have no idea, but it's very compelling to me. Like, when I read it for the first time, I was into it like it was Harry Potter or something. Like I said, I was into it, and I wish I would have known this ahead of time so I could appreciate the match at Hell in a Cell a little bit more.
that's, like I said before, that's a WrestleMania type feud right there. I mean, Rey Mysterio, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make the grandest stage in the mall. So if Sin Cara wasn't going to be able to work with anyone, I would have booked it. I mean, that's an incredible storyline. As to why they didn't translate it onto the television, I'll never know. I mean, that's the problem with the WWE. They pull the trigger on stuff a little bit too quickly, especially on crowd reactions. We don't get to see the house shows, so probably, these guys are getting huge reactions, and then on live TV, it doesn't really transition well. So, but definitely, I wish they would have done a better job with this feud, as I'm a big fan of Sin Cara. I'm not going to blame him totally. He does botch a lot, but you have to remember that, number one, you can't do flying hurricanranas, and number two, he can't speak English. So talking to an English person in the ring with a limited knowledge of the English language is definitely going to be very hard.
And I'm pretty sure many people listening right now are hearing this story for the first time from us, and I'm honored. But this does expose a fear of mine that I've had since WWE has started to embrace this new age of technology and social networking. You can't forget what the nucleus is, and that's what we see on TV. Everything else has to revolve around that. All of this internet stuff, it should be used to accentuate storylines, not attempt to serve as a replacement for TV, because you end up in situations like this. A genuinely great storyline, but most fans have no idea what the hell is going on.